Hi everyone, it's Sabrina Woodworth with Work Lessons 101. Today's question is how to assess advice. So, is it good advice? Is it bad advice? And how can you tell the difference? So, let's discuss some questions that you can ask yourself to really truly assess the advice you've been receiving. Um, Not all advice is applicable to you, so you really should be questioning the credibility behind the advice before you move forward, especially if it's career advice, personal advice on important life decisions like what career what career to chase, what spouse to marry. I think you really need to start to observe the advice you're getting, question it. So some of the basic questions you can ask yourself is the person giving the advice someone you respect? Doesn't mean that the advice they're giving is bad per se if you don't respect them, but really start to question yourself if you don't respect them. Have you allowed their words to have a lot more power over you than they're really entitled to? If you don't respect someone, there's probably a good reason why you don't respect them, and therefore their advice is essentially potentially questionable. So be mindful if you allow their words to have too much power. The next one is, first off, have you asked for their opinion? Is the advice unsolicited? And that goes to my next question is, do they have your best interests at heart? If it's constructive feedback and something that they feel is going to hold you back to your career aspirations, maybe you listen to it. But if you question whether they have your best interests and the advice was unsolicited, maybe you move on. Next question is, have you listened to them in the past and was good advice? Our parents are a great example. They give us advice throughout our whole life. Their intentions are definitely probably in a good place. But parents don't always choose what's best for their children in the sense of a career. Maybe, they want you to have security where you want to take greater risks in your career. So you really need to question their motives and where they're coming from and whether that advice is applicable to the situation you're in. You really need to take that situation by situation. Um, and another one is the person actually taking their own advice? There's a lot of people out there giving life advice, especially in these COVID times where everyone's like, live in the moment. But are they actually living in the moment? Like, what are they doing in their lives differently that, allows them to give advice? Are they living by their own advice? If they're not, then take what they're saying with a grain of salt because essentially they're hypocrites and easier said than done, right? The last question to help you assess whether advice is applicable to your situation or not is the person credible that's giving you the advice on the topic they're giving you advice on? So if it's a medical doctor giving you advice on medical concerns, like, you're overweight, you got high blood pressure, then maybe you should listen to them. But if it's just Joe Blow, that reads one medical blog, maybe they don't know what's best for your medical history and your future of your health. So take it with a grain of salt. Is the person credible, respectable, and have an advice that you should be listening to? These are some of the questions that you should, help assess your situation. Hopefully that was helpful. Please reach out to me on any of my social media platforms or go to my website with your questions, worklessons101.com. Have a great day, everyone.